Hello and welcome to part 4 of the build diary. A week has gone by more or less since part 3. We've had to contend with not one but 2 thunderstorms, one of which resulted in rather a lot of heavy rain this very morning, and so here I stand sort of mid to late afternoon, not an ideal time to start things, but there you go. Hopefully we can make a start on things and make more progress tomorrow. So we finished part 3 with our square of wood, but what I'm doing now is starting to build some strength into that frame, and so hopefully, I'm not made of time today unfortunately, but hopefully, pulled up this lovely diagram, be able to put these 2 longer bits of wood into place today, and then tomorrow, when the weather is apparently better, I can work on putting these shorter strengthening bits in, although they may actually be used temporarily today as spacers to guarantee that these 2 long bits are in the right place. Or in other words, if everything goes to plan this weekend, by the time things are finished, instead of that square of wood, we'll have something looking roughly like this, with all of that held into place, and on to the next part of the process we will go, where we face the slightly frightening prospect of a circular saw to cut some plywood up to put on top and below that. Well, I've measured this as well, but as you can see there's now 2 temporary spacers in place that are keeping the piece of wood straight as well as at the correct distance, and so now it'll be time to apply the clamp and decide on where to drill the first hole on the well, right hand side over there. Well, as you saw, the screw did not want to go in properly, so going to have to drill a slightly bigger pilot hole for it. So that unsuccessful hole was a 3mm drill bit. I've now going up to a 3.2, so we're going to drill the hole again, and hopefully that will rectify the problem. Well, we definitely weren't far off with the last attempt, so hopefully this screw will go in properly this time. Well, clearly the pilot hole has to be even bigger, so we'll try drilling it one more time. Well, no messing this time, because I've asked my dad which one we used last week, and it was the 4.5mm for the pilot hole. So here we go with the 4.5mm. Well, as you can see, I've got that first screw in. Unfortunately, there is a bit of a problem, so I've zoomed right in on here, and that's that it's gone through the first bit of wood, but it's pushing the second bit of wood out the way rather than actually going into it properly. Hopefully this is a problem that will be solved by sticking at least one screw in at the other end. Something I will attempt later this evening, because I'm going to have a dinner break now. Time has elapsed, as you can see. Sunglasses no longer needed. Sun disappeared behind clouds. So what I have done is put the wood now into the workmate, and I've decided to put another screw in next to the one currently holding that piece of wood, as I cannot work out how to stop the one that's there from twisting. It's just not going quite far enough in. It is holding it, but it's not holding it as well as I'd want it to, so we're going to give it a friend, and hopefully that will help. So I'm about to insert this second screw, and fingers crossed it will work out a little bit better than its friend. Well, I'm either getting optimistic or ambitious, but I've decided to drill the two final pilot holes and get the two screws in at this other end, me having now turned the whole frame over, and then hopefully I can get the other longer piece of wood also screwed into place tonight. As you can see, neither screw is entirely countersunk, so not 100% successful, but equally that piece of wood is definitely held better down there. Well, I'm about to drill pilot holes for this second and final long support structure. This is my least favourite piece of wood in the whole of this project because last week we discovered it had warped. It is not entirely straight, so it's a matter of finding a sort of average as to where it can go in. As you'll see, I'm taking no chances. I've put all the spare bits of wood that will be the smaller dividers at the bottom to guarantee that we have the 391mm gap all the way up to there. So let's get drilling. Now, I'm not entirely sure why, but those did actually almost countersink, so I'm a lot happy with the way those went in. So we'll flip it over and put a couple more in at the other end. Well, I'm just about to drill the last two holes of the day, and or should I say insert the last two screws of the day, and it's certainly been a lot easier working in the evening with the sun now just an hour from setting than it was working the height of full-on heat wave afternoon. So let's get these two in, and I think we may well pack the whole thing away before I start to insert those smaller support structures tomorrow. Well, those are now pretty firmly in, and it's a case of to be continued. And when I resume tomorrow, as I say, it's all down to putting these into place. Ah yes, the sun is with us again, and welcome to day 2 of this part of the build. Today we'll be mostly dealing with these much shorter pieces of wood and fixing them together with these somewhat different 50mm screws. And well, if I change the angle of the camera, you'll see the base is now all laid out, and initially I will be starting over there on the left, because I don't know if I've got the gap quite right there on the right, so I shall start over here on the left first, where things appear to be a bit more with us. Definitely time to change drill battery. Piss off. So it's now a few minutes later, and we've got those first two bits of wood screwed into place, and in something I wish I'd filmed but didn't, I had to well, effectively use some of the other bits of wood as a sort of wood hammer and knock this third one into place. So I will now screw that into place and hold it down, and the feeling I will be repeating that process with the fourth, fifth and sixth of these. Well, I just spent the last few minutes, let's just say, persuading this last piece of support wood into line. It's not in line, and I don't think it'll get a great deal further in line, but if I zoom out now, you'll be able to see all the others are there, and they are all where I want to be, and providing support. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than I thought it would be. Well, I've just drilled the last two holes of this part of the build, and to paraphrase the words of the doctor, it seems not a moment too soon, because every few minutes now I am hearing rumbles of thunder. I'm not quite sure whether they're getting any closer, but they're certainly not going away. So I'm rather glad to be almost done. So let's get these last 2 screws in, and then we can tie up this video and get everything away out of the weather. I'll do that again with the camera moved. Camera zoomed out, but as you can see, and that was one of these rumbles of thunder, it is holding all together. Of course the damn thing still won't balance. I'll just have to carefully move this up, and then I can move it away.